wrong for pretending to be a sugar baby to humiliate someone? I, a 31 female, recently moved into my boyfriend's 42 male house. We've been together 5 years. I'm friendly with almost all of his friends except for his best friend's girlfriend who hates me. I'll call her Elle. Elle thinks I'm a gold digger. My boyfriend does make a lot more money than me, but I have a decent job, work hard, and I make okay money. Part of the reason she thinks this about me might be because we've got different backgrounds. He and most of his friends grew up wealthy and I grew up working class. She's forever making little digs at my background. I'm from a poorer part of the country with a strong accent and trying to pass it off as banter. For the record, I banter with my boyfriend all the time about our backgrounds. She doesn't do this in front of my boyfriend, and I've never really brought it up with him except for in passing because I just find it funny. Since I moved in with him, she's made non-stop comments to me about how I must be so happy I've bagged him because I never have been able to live in a place like this otherwise. She sounds like she wants your man, if I'm being honest. She wants to be you. That's the problem. People who talk like that are jealous people. Like, why does she care? Because she wants to be you. When people care that much, that means they are jealous. A few weeks ago, she even told me she was expecting me to announce a pregnancy to lock him in. I can't have children, but she doesn't know that. When she said that, it got to the point that it was no longer funny to me, so instead of laughing it off like I normally do, I decided I'd just play along. The next time she made a comment, I just smiled and placed a hand on my stomach. She looked shocked but didn't say anything. A little later on, she commented on how stressful it must be to not have a full-time job. So I just said something like, well, I won't need to worry about that soon, and kind of smiled again. I'm not sure why I thought this was a good idea, but I was enjoying how angry it was making her, so I kept doing it. That's because it is a good idea. I love it. Last Friday, at a meal out with my boyfriend and a group of friends, things came to a heat. I wasn't drinking, and in the middle of the meal, she brought it up and said something like, "It's weird to see a person from your region sober." I laughed it off, but then she kept asking why I wasn't drinking, even after I said I was on a diet. Eventually, she just blurted out, "You must be happy you're expecting, Miles, but I thought you didn't want kids." I pretended to be shocked and looked over at Miles and said, "Actually, I can't have children." Literally, everyone was silent. I got up and left, and Miles followed me. She was apparently mortified. At that moment, it felt great, but on reflection, I think I might have taken it too far. I've since heard that her boyfriend is sleeping at a different friend's house, and the rest of the group aren't talking to her. I'm feeling more and more like an asshole, and I'm wondering if I should come clean and tell everyone I deliberately misled her into thinking I was pregnant. My boyfriend knows this and thinks she had it coming. So, am I the asshole?
Am I the asshole for bringing eggs to a vegan wedding? I realize from the title I probably immediately sound like the asshole, but hear me out. So I am 21 female, and my brother, 26 male, got married last weekend. He and my new sister-in-law, who's 26 female, had known each other for a few years now, and naturally I was invited to the wedding. She had been vegan since she was 12 and had also converted my brother in recent years, so they decided to make the wedding vegan. Basically, this meant that all the catering was vegan food, even the alcohol, and they used petals from their garden instead of plastic confetti and things like that to make the wedding as eco-friendly as possible. I have no problem with any of this and think it's great. Anyway, the problem is this. The issue I often have with eating anywhere is that I have multiple allergies: peanuts, soy, sesame, and a mild shellfish allergy as well. The first 3 I named are very serious and have landed me in the hospital in the past because of cross-contamination, so I'm really weary. I talked to my brother about if there would be anything safe for me to eat at the event, but because they're using a local neighborhood lady's business as the catering service instead of something professional, I did not feel comfortable enough that there was absolutely zero chance of me having a reaction, especially because the allergens were ingredients in many of the dishes. It felt too risky, so I said I'd bring my own food, and he agreed that was the best option. Am I the asshole for bringing eggs to a vegan wedding? I've done this with plenty of such events in the past, and it's never been a problem. The wedding day arrives and it comes time to eat. Everyone is digging into the food, and I pull out my Tupperware quite happily and dig in when I see the bride staring at me with horror on her face. I had bought a homemade sort of salad box which had 2 eggs on top, and she literally just stared at me in disgust the entire time we ate, without saying anything. After the meal is finished, she pulled me to the side and said I ruined her meal and her appetite and ruined her day, and that I'm clearly a selfish person because I can't even go 1 meal without animal secretions in a vegan wedding, and that it was seriously disrespectful because the fact it was a vegan wedding was the main focus. In my eyes, I bought my own food because they weren't able to provide me with something which was safe to eat, and it's not like I brought a steak. I had 2 eggs in a big salad, and she must have been specifically staring at my food to even realize they were there. However, I'm beginning to wonder if I'm the asshole because my brother also said it was in poor taste, and
Am I the asshole for speaking to my Italian girlfriend's rude Italian-American family and embarrassing them? For a little backstory, due to my dad's job, we lived in Italy for 3 years when I was younger, so I speak Italian almost fluently. It's been a while, so I've lost some of it. Recently, I started dating a girl. She's great and I love her so much. I met her family a few nights ago for dinner. She warned me that the male side of her family is very big into being macho, into testing the boys the women date, and are very big on taking pride in their Italian ancestry. I think besides the grandfather, however, they were almost all born in Bergen County, New Jersey, but whatever. It's nice to take pride in one's heritage. So long story short, at dinner they kept making jokes at my expense. I honestly would not call it bullying, just things about my height, beard, shaved head. They tried to make fun of my IT job too, but stopped once I told them my income. It was overall not a bad experience, but a not so pleasant one either. Anyway, her older brother kept pushing things, giving me exceptional amounts of shit for playing lacrosse in high school. Apparently, it's a sport for prissy rich kids and not manly like football or baseball. He ended his rant by saying, "Hey, we're just a big Italian family. We're allowed to tell it how we see it." And all of the family except my girlfriend laughed. So I, for the next minute, responded to everything they said in Italian. My girlfriend buried her head in shame. The grandfather laughed and everyone else kept looking at each other confused before telling me that they didn't speak Italian. I replied, "Then don't use your Italian heritage as an excuse to behave poorly when you can't even speak the language." They got mad, but the grandfather told them all that I was right and to be quiet. My girlfriend isn't mad. She was ashamed that her family dug so deep into me, not about my response. I think the grandfather likes me, but word from my girlfriend's sister is that all the men are furious. They think I'm a smartass and I disrespected them in their masculinity in an unforgivable way. So, am I the asshole? Story time about when I messed up by opening my fiance's DMs. First, the discovery. I had a rough day and my fiance's algorithms are top notch, so I was scrolling through his apps to entertain myself, hoping for a pick-me-up. I opened his Instagram and noticed that he had a couple new DMs. We don't snoop through each other's phones, but we also don't hide anything either, or so I thought. So I clicked on them just to see if they were important because he doesn't check Insta often. Well, I see DMs from a deleted account, thus sparking my interest. So I click and I scroll. Messages go years back. Maybe 20 to 30 messages total. Some winky faces, some slightly sexual memes, and a few photos of lingerie. Nothing outright incriminating, but who is this bitch? My heart dropped. We're getting married in less than 5 months. These messages aren't okay. He's not a cheater. Never once have I ever questioned that, nor has he given me any reason to. I start to see red. Now, the confrontation. I put on my big girl pants, wipe my tears, and storm into the bathroom. Rip open the shower curtain, revealing this idiot's albeit gorgeous naked body. He, though quite startled, raises his eyebrows and smirks. Looking to join, he says, "Wrong move, buddy." I go off, like a badass. He denies it, like a liar. I hold his towel hostage and toss him his phone so he can see for himself. He scrolls and pulls off this wildly confused demeanor. I literally see the blood leave his face. He kind of just says, stuttering, "Baby, I don't know." We go back and forth. He swears up and down he has no idea who this could be. "I'm just as surprised as you are," he claims, criminally. So I take his phone so I can quote this other woman for emphasis. I ready my best Valley Girl voice and scroll through the most recent received messages. I notice for the first time, inconveniently so, a picture she sent of a guinea pig. I think, aw hell, I love guinea pigs. Then I remember, I have seen this guinea pig before. Then I realize, she is me. I deleted all my social media almost a year ago. Neither of us remembered any of the messages we sent. I start laughing and happy crying. My fiance looks as if he just won the lottery and received the death penalty simultaneously. Now to the aftermath. Now we sit, both recently showered, debating whether or not we should welcome a guinea pig into our family. I am so embarrassed. He is so relieved. We are crazy, stupid, and so in love.
Am I wrong for photoshopping my maid of honor's tattoos out of my wedding photos? So I, 32 female, got married 2 months ago to my husband, 35 male. We had a beautiful wedding and my childhood BFF, Jessica, 31 female, was my maid of honor. I had a themed wedding. My husband and I are both historians and we met because we were researching the same time period for a thesis, namely the 1800s in Great Britain, or popularly known as the Regency era. The fact that we both researched the same time period was practically the reason why we started dating, so we instantly loved the idea of a themed wedding set in the Regency era, as it was sentimental to us and a beautiful way to honor our beginnings. For my wedding, I personally paid for my wedding party's dresses, hair, and makeup. Now, Jessica has tattoos on her hands, legs, torso, and neck. I brought up her tattoos and asked her what she would prefer to do with them to stay on theme. She said she wishes to do nothing, and while she understands the theme is important to my husband and I, she was not going to cover herself up in any way as she didn't want to compromise herself. I was a little miffed, but I accepted this, since it's a fair boundary and so I didn't push it. Plus, gloves were an important part of the bridesmaid's attire, meaning most of her tattoos will be covered by the gloves itself, and it was really just the neck tattoos I was worried about, but the bridesmaid dresses dresses had conservative necklines, so it wouldn't be very conspicuous, and so I thought I could just get over this and not worry. However, on the day of the wedding, Jessica's gloves were small instead of the big ones I expected the bridesmaids to wear, and her dress's neckline did nothing to cover her tattoos as she had altered it last minute. I did not expect this and was kind of thrown off, but after a while, I stopped caring and was busy having the best day of my life. However, fast forward to a few weeks ago, I got back the first set of pictures from my wedding day, and the pics with Jessica in them were jarring to say the least because of her tattoos. It was honestly so out of place that I had asked my photographer to edit the pictures to give them a more historic portrait-like look. I wanted a particular picture of my husband and I, our families, maid of honor and bridesmaids framed, but if anyone saw that picture, the first thing they would have noticed was Jessica's tattoos and not my husband and I. I really wanted this one particular picture to look like an actual portrait in 1810, so I went ahead and asked the photographer to digitally remove the tattoos. The post Photoshop pic came in the mail yesterday and I showed it to Jessica. I knew she would have gotten annoyed with this and I was ready to apologize sincerely, but also let her know that I won't be returning the picture. Jessica was very mad when she saw the pic and told me that this was a narcissistic and disrespectful thing to do and stormed out of my house. She was more mad than I expected her to be, so now I'm not sure if I was truly way out of line or just a little bit selfish. So am I the asshole?
My husband's coworker keeps rubbing herself against him. I'm 26 and my husband 27 works as an IT guy for a law school. His office is located just through the library building and he has a coworker, Cassie, who works in the library of the school. My husband and I have lunch every Wednesday because I work at a clinic close to his job on Wednesdays. Without fail, every Wednesday for the last 3 weeks or so, Cassie has made it a point to be in my husband's office around lunch, and all 3 times, the first time she rubbed herself against him, she tried to squeeze past him and held his hips from behind as her breast rubbed against his back. I initially threw it off as an accident and she was actually just trying to get by, but my husband was thrown off by it and asked her next time just to go around the other way. The second time I saw it, she came into his office while we were having lunch and she said that she needed something and if he could assist her in getting it because it was on a high shelf, because all of our other coworkers are older, shorter women. Although my husband was hesitant, he got up to help her and as he was walking out of the door, she grazed her chest against him yet again. I didn't think my husband noticed, but I told him about it being the second time that had happened and he acknowledged it and asked her to maintain a suitable distance between them, and she apologized and agreed. However, today my husband messaged me and said that he would be a little late coming to the cafe because he was filing a report to HR against Cassie. Apparently she rubbed her ass against his crotch. I know that my husband took the first correct step by filing with HR, but what's the next legal step if it happens again?